Imagine this. You spend your entire life doing what's right. You're honest, selfless, and kind. You sacrifice your needs for the greater good, believing that virtue will be its own reward. And yet, when the moment of reckoning arrives, you find yourself overlooked, powerless, perhaps even betrayed. The cunning prosper, the ruthless ascend, and those who play by the rules are left wondering why goodness feels like a punishment. There is a story you were told, a lie woven into the fabric of morality, that goodness in its purest form triumphs, that kindness is an investment that always pays off. But in the shadowed corridors of history, in the cold logic of human nature, Niccolò Machiavelli whispers a different truth, one that is unsettling, brutal, yet impossible to ignore. Goodness without power is not just useless, it is a liability. Consider this. The most revered figures of history, leaders, visionaries, revolutionaries, were they truly good? Or did they master the art of appearing so while wielding calculated ruthlessness beneath the surface? Would the world have hailed them if they were merely kind? Or was it their strategic cunning that allowed their virtue to matter? A king who is only kind will lose his throne. A leader who is only merciful will be devoured. A person who refuses to see the game being played around them will become a pawn in someone else's victory. And so, the question that should haunt every soul who clings to the ideal of goodness is this: is it possible to be good without being weak? And if so, what price must be paid to walk that path? The answer to this question is neither simple nor comforting, because to understand it, we must first confront an uncomfortable reality, one that psychology, philosophy, and history have long tried to warn us about. And that reality ends with the hidden problem buried deep in our very nature. From the moment we take our first breath, we are conditioned to believe that goodness is a virtue in and of itself. We are taught that selflessness is noble, that fairness is the foundation of society, and that those who harm others will inevitably face consequences. Yet, reality does not reflect these teachings. History is littered with the graves of the naive, the ones who believed that morality alone would shield them from cruelty. Carl Jung warned of the shadow, the dark, repressed aspects of our psyche that we refuse to acknowledge. He argued that those who suppress their shadow in favor of blind virtue become vulnerable to those who embrace it. The world does not reward purity, it rewards balance. A person who refuses to integrate their shadow, who denies their own capacity for ruthlessness, invites destruction upon themselves. Nietzsche, too, saw through the illusion. He spoke of the herd mentality, the way society breeds compliance, rewarding docility over strength. The promise of goodness as a path to success is not a universal truth, but a mechanism of control. The meek are kept in line with ideals that benefit those in power, while the cunning exploit these very virtues to ascend. Arthur Schopenhauer painted an even bleaker picture. He saw human existence as an endless struggle for dominance, where altruism is often an illusion, where even the most benevolent acts are tainted by subconscious self-interest. To him, morality is not an absolute force, but a construct, one that is weaponized to manipulate the unsuspecting. So why then do we cling to the illusion of pure goodness? The answer lies in our need for certainty. To believe that the world is just, that kindness guarantees kindness in return, is comforting. It soothes the existential terror of an indifferent universe. And yet, this very comfort blinds us. The problem is not that goodness is meaningless. It is that goodness without power is impotent. Those who wield only kindness are left at the mercy of those who do not. And so we must ask, what happens to recognize this? The answer is found in the unseen consequences that shape our lives. You see it everywhere. The well-intentioned employee who works tirelessly yet is passed over for promotions while the politically astute rise. The devoted partner who gives endlessly only to be discarded for someone who commands respect instead of pleading for it. The leader who hesitates to wield power only to be outmaneuvered by those who do not. The world does not punish goodness, it punishes naivety. Cognitive biases shape this brutal reality. The just world fallacy convinces people that if they do the right thing, life will reward them accordingly. But life is not a moral accountant. It is an arena. The halo effect blinds us into believing that moral purity translates to effectiveness, while the Machiavellian recognized that perception, not purity, dictates influence. The survivorship bias ensures that we only hear stories of the few whose virtue was accompanied by power, while the countless unseen victims of misplaced trust remain forgotten. Neuroscience confirms this imbalance. The amygdala, the primal seat of fear, reacts more strongly to dominance than to kindness. People respect those they fear, losing more than those they assume will always be there. Social conditioning has taught us to value kindness, but our instincts tell us to follow strength. And so, the good suffer, not because the world is cruel, but because they fail to understand its rules. True power is not the rejection of goodness. It is its weaponization. It is the ability to choose when to be kind and when to be cold. Those who master this duality are not consumed by the world, they shape it. But how does one break from this trap? How does one reclaim it without succumbing to cruelty? There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that playing by the rules does not guarantee victory. That moment is an awakening, either to despair or to power. Some retreat into bitterness, blaming the world for its injustice. Others adapt, sharpening their edges, learning the game. The difference between the forgotten and the formidable is not morality but mastery. The first step to breaking free is to unlearn the lie, to strip away the comforting illusion that goodness alone is enough. This does not mean discarding morality. It means wielding it with precision. True goodness, the kind that leaves a mark on the world, is not passive. It is calculated. It is aware. It is armed. Machiavelli never rejected virtue. He rejected its blind application. He understood that in a world where ruthlessness is rewarded, survival depends not on being purely good or purely evil, but on the ability to shift between them. To be soft when softness serves, to be steel when steel is required. He wrote, "A wise ruler should not keep faith when doing so would be to his disadvantage." This is not a call to deception, but to discernment. History's greatest figures understood this principle. Take Abraham Lincoln, a man revered for his compassion, yet ruthless in his execution of war. He did not lead by kindness alone, but by strategic force, knowing when to wield mercy and when to strike. Or consider Nelson Mandela, whose forgiveness shaped a nation, yet whose years in prison forged an unbreakable will. Even religious icons, figures held as the embodiment of virtue, did not ascend through kindness alone. They defied. They disrupted. They understood that power does not corrupt, it reveals. So how does one reclaim power without losing their soul? First, by embracing the shadow. Carl Jung warned that those who deny their own capacity for ruthlessness make themselves victims to those who do not. To integrate the shadow is to acknowledge your potential for power, to accept that you are capable of both mercy and menace. This does not mean acting with cruelty. It means recognizing that the ability to be dangerous is what makes kindness meaningful. Second, by mastering perception. The world is not governed by truth, but by perception. Strength and confidence are currencies more valuable than sincerity. If you wish to be heard, do not beg, command. If you wish to be valued, do not overextend. Make your presence a privilege. If you wish to be respected, do not rely on purity. Balance it with power. Third, by playing the game strategically. Those who rise do not move in straight line. They do not rely on fate to reward their efforts. They understand leverage. They cultivate alliances. They adapt to the battlefield of life. Do not wait for justice to find you. Position yourself so that justice is inevitable. This is not a rejection of goodness. It is its evolution. A goodness that is no longer blind. A kindness that is no longer. A morality that is not but a weapon. And yet, even now, one final question. A question will determine bound by a loop or step through power. Is the ultimate reshapes everything. The answer is You were told that goodness is an inherent virtue, that kindness is its own reward. But now you see the cracks in that story. You see how power is not evil, but necessary. You understand that virtue without strength is fragile, that morality without strategy is a liability. And yet, there is one final revelation. The realization that, once grasped, alters the very way you move through the world. Here it is. Power and goodness are not opposites. They are the same force, expressed at different times. Think of fire. In a hearth, it warms, it nourishes, it sustains life. But left unchecked, it devours, it consumes, it destroys. Power is the same. When wielded with wisdom, it becomes a force for justice. When denied, it falls into the hands of those who do not hesitate to use it for destruction. You have been conditioned to believe that power corrupts, that to seek control is to abandon morality. But the greatest lie ever told was that only the wicked should wield power, that those who are good must remain small, that those who are kind must submit, that those who are virtuous must wait for the world to recognize them. The truth is that morality, when combined with mastery, becomes unstoppable. The truth is that the ones who change the world are not those who wait to be granted power, but those who seize it with intention. The truth is that righteousness means nothing if it is powerless to act. So now you stand at the threshold of a choice and cling to the comfort of the old, that goodness alone will carry you through life. Or you can embrace the full spectrum of your potential. You can cultivate wisdom, wield strength, move with purpose. You can become the kind of person who is not just good, but formidable. Not the pawn, but the player. Not the martyr, but the master. Not merely kind, powerful enough to make kindness matter. And that changes everything.